Have you noticed that sometimes running a service organization feels like pedaling a water bike in headwind? Lots and lots of effort and not much progress. I think most of us in service organizations have had that feeling sometimes. So I want to give you a little bit of inspiration here. You see, what is it that actually differentiates great service organizations from ordinary service organizations? Because there is a secret sauce, and it's not as secret as you might think. It's called the service profit chain. It's really well documented. It was published in the 1990s, and it shows what it is that really good service organizations do in order to achieve the success that they actually do. So you might be wondering, 1990s, that's old stuff, but it's not old stuff. It's still very, very, very relevant because you see there are three mega trends that are affecting our businesses in the service industry at the moment. And they are abundance, service dominant logic, and the lack of engagement on the workforce. And all three influence us dramatically. So let me just run through those very quickly. Abundance, it's very clear to all of us that so we've gone from a situation of scarcity just after the Second World War to a situation of abundance. There's too much of everything. Too many cars, too many motorcycles, too many hotels, too much of everything. And in a world with too much of everything, it becomes very difficult to be heard. Everybody is screaming, buy my bananas, and nobody's hearing you. And in that type of world, there's only one thing that works. It's word of mouth. And that means you need to have more loyal customers than your competitors. It's the only way forward. On top of that, we have this notion of service dominant logic. We've talked about for years, it's going to be a service economy, it's going to be a service economy. It is a service economy. We've moved from products to services very clearly, and we've shifted our focus from product specifications to customer needs. What this means is, across the board, is that we are experiencing as customers that more and more organizations are shifting into being service providers. And as they do that, they become more and more innovative, and they raise the bar for what to expect when somebody starts talking about service. So each of us in the old school, traditional service industries need to be aware that we need to raise the bar dramatically if we want to compete. And finally, we have this challenge of the lack of engagement, and I don't have to give you a long spiel about that. Gallup publishes their survey on a regular basis, and it consistently shows that 63% of the workforce is not particularly engaged, 24% are unengaged, and only 13% are actually engaged. Now, it's okay to be disengaged, I suppose, if you are canning sardines in a factory in Portugal. You can show up, you do your job, you go home, it doesn't really matter. But just think about it. In the service industry, there is like a dramatic difference between being served by somebody who just has a job and somebody who is truly enthusiastic about what it is that they do. Makes a world of difference. So these three mega trends that are in play around us at the moment, they drive the market. And you need to understand how to counter these three mega trends. And that is why this whole notion of the service profit chain comes in, because the best service businesses have something in common. They do this in the same way, all of them. Whether they're car rental firms, hotels, hospitals, software developers, if they're in the service industry, they have a very similar way of thinking about their organization. And I would love to show you that. I have a 90-minute sort of roller coaster presentation where I run through this whole concept of the service profit chain, and I show how these organizations think about customer loyalty, what value means to the customer, and how they actually compute it in their heads. And finally, how do we tackle this whole challenge around employee engagement? If you feel you'd like to hear more about that, if you're interested in having a presentation for your management team, your leadership team, giving them a bit of some inspiration, raising the bar a little bit for them, then message me, contact me on one of these sites, and I'd be happy to talk to you about what giving a presentation about the service profit chain could mean for your organization. I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.